And now, suspense.
You familiar with the Espionage Act?
Whoa. Espionage?
No more wisecracks?
Get out.
Dr. Winter, G2 has credible intelligence that one of these...
All I've seen from the G2 is an incredible lack of intelligence.
When I booked Damon on Army of the Dead, I got on set, and one of the main people in the cast walked up to me, and he said, "You live here and you booked this role?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I don't mean anything by that." He was just like, this is a role that we would have expected to come out of New York or LA or London or something. Actually, that he was the person on the movie that I got the closest to in the 6 weeks that I was on. But I knew that it was a win for myself, and I knew that it was a win for Albuquerque actors. You know, it was like, I kind of felt the pride of doing it for the hometown as much as I did for my own career and my own life. It was surprising to hear another actor ask me that, and I didn't take offense to it because I knew how he meant it. He was like, "Good for you. You live in this town and you booked this level of a role." And I thought, okay, cool. This is a win.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even when it comes to like any kind of aspect of entertainment, whether it's acting or music and stuff like that, when an area, when someone in an area wins, everybody wins. That's how the mentality should be. But a lot of times you'll see in bigger areas or just in areas where there's just so much competition and not everyone's booking stuff or not everyone's getting, quality music out. You tend to get a lot of that, like, crab in the bucket mentality where if one person starts to make it, they're like, "Oh, no, like that's not cool." But I mean, in reality, it should be the way of thinking is if one person makes it, good for them, because that means there's going to be more attention on us.
Right. And I've learned the lesson the other way to a degree. A few years ago, I was talking to my friend Ross, who used to be an actor. I think he still does theater and stuff every once in a while, but he's mostly a producer in LA now. And he said, "How have you been doing?" And I said, "Oh, I just booked this role. It was like 2 days or whatever." And he goes, "Dude," he was like, "Shut up, man." He was like, "Do you understand that 1,000 actors in LA submitted for that role? Maybe 250 of them got called into audition. Maybe 50 of them got looked at for the role, and you booked it. So even the small ones, just know that there was 1,000 people in Los Angeles on top of the people in Albuquerque that you auditioned against, wanting people. So big or small, just don't act like that." It was a humbling moment for me because I was like, it was work, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And he reminded me that, booking a role it's not just booking a role. There was 1,000 people who wanted to do that 2 days of work, and you got it. So don't take it for granted and appreciate it. So I carry that mentality into my auditions now. And I carry that mentality onto set. I really try to be like grateful for the roles that I get, because now I know I was reminded that so many people tried to be where I am. And I was lucky enough to get it.
It really is like a grind, like I said, and there's so many people that, a lot of people don't realize that. It's like, there's so many people out for that one job, and it's probably the most competitive market there is. When you're trying to get a job anywhere else outside of like entertainment, even though it's a smaller market, like for job, like I'm in management. So even though I'm only competing for the job with like maybe 4 or 5 other people, that still feels like a lot. Like it feels like a lot stacked against you, and you don't realize like like in entertainment, there's like literally thousands of people trying to get this job that you're after as well. So it's very good feeling too. But I approach those kinds of things too with I'm always grateful. Like just with being a dad and being a single dad for so long, that I was like, I'm so grateful for having a job. Like when in the beginning, when I first had my son, I was, whatever job I could find, I was after it. If it was, I worked in like really bad and very dangerous warehouses where I was working 12 to 14-hour days just to support my son. And now I'm in a position where people are seeking me out. They read my resume and they're like, "Oh, hey, we saw your resume and we think you'd be great for this management job over here." And I'm always very grateful and very humbled. I never go into it as in like, "Oh, I could do better than that." Like, "Oh, you're only paying this much? Like, I'm good." I'm always like, okay, whatever you're paying is great, because I come from a place where I was getting paid nothing and just trying to get by. And now I'm in a position where I can kind of leverage the fact that I have so much experience in this field and I know I can do a good job.
Right. And the other, the other aspect of that for me is an artistic one. And I tell when I teach, I still teach every once in a while. I teach some adults and some young actors, but I will always tell them the difference between a role. If you get cast in a role in theater, chances are thousands and thousands and thousands of actors have done that role throughout time. Like Tom Joad from Grapes of Wrath. I played Tom Joad in graduate school, but so did Gary Sinise, and so did thousands of other actors have done that role. When I book, even if it's guy number 2 in an episode of a TV show, I'm the only actor that's mine. I'm the only actor who has ever done that role. And artistically, that's a meaningful thing. Damon in Army of the Dead, I'm the only actor who has ever or will ever play that role. And there's something about that that's satisfying as an actor too, going, that one is mine. It comes with a little bit of pressure. It comes with a little bit of like, well, I hope I do it well. I hope that the guy that almost got it wouldn't have, taken it more seriously and done it differently or better than I did. But it's just a reminder, even when it's one day on one episode of a show, if you book that, you're the only one that will ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I'm grateful for.
Yeah, that's actually a great philosophy. I've never actually heard that before, but I've actually thought about that as well. Cause like I'm thinking when I'm reading credits, I'm one of the few people that actually go through all the credits of movies because I'm always fascinated with oh, this person worked on this and this person, this, a lot goes into, people forget that a lot goes into making a film or a TV show. Crazy. So many people are working on it. And that's why in my own way, I like to just sit through the credits because I'm like, they deserve that much. For us to just sit here and just read all of this and all of the work that these people, put into making this. And I love that you said that, that part is yours, even if it's small, because a lot of people don't think that way. No. And they'll be thinking, oh, it's a small part. I've talked to a few people that where, they say, oh, it was a small part. It's whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's like in my head, I'm like, I would be ecstatic to have that because I could just I've always thought I don't think I'd be a very good actor, but I always thought it would be I would love to be that guy who you see in the background holding something all the time, so I can just point out to my kids and just be like, oh, you see that guy right there? That's me.
Yep.
Guy holding pizza. I would love that.
It's a cool feeling. Once I figured that out and how to express it not only to myself but to other people, I was like, okay, I'm never going to take a role for granted again. I'm never going to, I read for a 4-episode recurring and I ended up with a 2-liner. I'm going to try to help hold myself accountable to that philosophy, I guess, for the rest of my career, which I hope will grow. I mean, I do have a very specific goal for my own career. Like I said, I'm 46 years old. I'm in a new category of what I'm going to start getting submitted for and read for. My ultimate dream is to send my son off to college in 4 years and then somehow book a recurring role for multiple seasons on a series. That's my dream as an actor, is to raise my son to the point where he can, start his own life. And then the reward for putting in all the grind and effort, like you said, will be finally I'm going to play this role for 5 seasons on whatever show it is. And I know it's possible. There's a couple actors from Albuquerque who have done it. Peter Dyseth, he's in Better Call Saul. I can't remember his character, Bill or something is his character's name, but he's been in 35 episodes of the show. He was in 35 episodes of Roswell, or I don't know how many it is, but he's been a recurring character in all seasons of 2 series shot in New Mexico now. And I go, all right, it's possible. It's just waiting for that perfect, storm of everything matching up for me to be able to do that. And the only way it's going to be able to happen is if I continue to accept auditions, continue to do the work to prepare for the audition, and continue when I book the role to go and be professional on set and treat people kindly and take the work seriously. I have another friend all the way back from college who went sort of from like regional theater to small independent films. And then he booked all 6 seasons, every episode of Longmire. He plays one of the leads in Longmire in every episode. And it's a person that I know. And I'm like, all right, I have to keep these things in the back of my mind going, okay, these dudes who are just like you have done this. So why can't you be one of them at some point? And that's something that keeps me going forward. That's something that, first of all, I love it. I love to audition. I love to be on set more than anything. But that possibility of landing in a job that you know you're going to be doing for 4 or 5 years of your life is what keeps me coming back, I guess. And the family aspect that happens with those casts.